The Yay or Nay Show with Alex C. A sports show for sports fans by a sports fan. And now, here is Alex C.
All right, here we go. It is the Yay or Nay Show with Alex C, a sports show for sports fans by a sports fan. A lot of things to go over today. Let's start off with this. Before we get into the obvious, let's get into how good is your NFL coach on fourth down calls. Now, the Four-Letter Network ranked all of the coaches in regards to their fourth down calls. I thought it was kind of interesting, in all honesty. Fourth down, everybody wants to talk about how it's changed. It's not like it used to be. It's not a punt. It's not a 5 years, or I should say 5 yards or more, turn around and punt. Instead, you got to go for it. And when you're going for it, how creative are you with the play calling, and how good are you with the play calling, and how good are you situationally in regards to where you are on the field? So all these things and more matter in regards to ranking the coaches on fourth down calls. So again, I thought it was kind of an interesting list. Obviously, we got a lot of baseball to talk about today. We'll get into the baseball. But first, I wanted to break down this list really quickly. So here we go. Coming in at number 32 in regards to the coaches list, we have Mike Tomlin. Now, Mike Tomlin, I'm surprised he's only at number 32, to be honest. But then again, the Pittsburgh Steelers are struggling. So Mike Tomlin coming in at the bottom of the list at number 32. Rich Bisaccia of the Las Vegas Raiders coming in at number 31. Number 30, Sean McVay. Now, he's got a lot of problems. Sean McVay, keep in mind, he's supposed to be one of the most brilliant minds in the NFL in regards to being a head coach. He's supposed to be innovative in regards to play calling. He is supposed to be one of the top 3 coaches in the NFL. And again, like Kyle Shanahan, I have said all season long, he's regressed. He's went backwards. He has not done a good job in regards to play calling. It, in fact, has went the other way. He's gone backwards. It's like him and Kyle Shanahan all of a sudden decided, you know what? We got to stop trying to be cute. We got to stop trying to be innovative. We've got to be more like everybody else. And it hasn't worked out. Sean McVay, again, coming in at number 30 in regards to fourth down calls. Number 29, I am surprised at this one. And then again, maybe not. He's more conventional than most coaches. So coming in at number 29, New England Patriots coach, arguably the best coach in the NFL, Bill Belichick. Number 28 on this particular list, Joe Judge. I'm surprised the guy's even on the list, to be honest. I mean, this guy doesn't deserve to be on any list. He's done the most horrible job situationally for any coach in the NFL as far as that goes. But fourth down calls, they have him ranked at number 28. Coming in at number 27, the other coach that I was speaking of a few moments ago, Kyle Shanahan. To be honest, I'm surprised he's 27. I'm surprised they don't have him deeper in the list, like 31 or 32, because again, I said he's regressed. He's gone a whole different way in regards to play calling. The only thing that's changed as of recently for Kyle Shanahan, and I've used this analogy a couple of times before, is he's like a rabid dog. He's got his back backed against the wall. What happens when you've got a rabid dog and you back them in a corner? They tend to bite back and they fight hard. Looks like Kyle Shanahan is kind of doing that. However, I would make the argument that in fourth down situations, he hasn't done a very good job. Again, I am surprised, however, that he is number 27. I would expect him to be a little lower in regards to this particular list. Number 26, Bruce Arians. Again, he's more conventional. I'm not surprised he's this low on the list. Bruce Arians, not really innovative, not really a fourth down, go for it type of coach. When they do go for it, I would say that's more Tom Brady than Bruce Arians. So again, Tampa Bay coach Bruce Arians coming in at number 26 really does not surprise me. Tied for 24, you got Ron Rivera of the Washington football team, along with Matt Nagy of the Chicago Bears. Fourth down innovation, really not a strength of either one of these two coaches. Ron Rivera, I don't know what's going on with Washington. They're playing a lot better lately, but it doesn't have anything to do with fourth down calls. So again, tied for 24, you got Ron Rivera of the Washington football team and Matt Nagy of the Chicago Bears. Number 23, I would have thought, in all honesty, he would have been higher on the list considering the type of coach that he is. Jacksonville Jaguar coach Urban Meyer is who I'm speaking of. Again, he's more of the go-for-it, collegiate, thought-minded kind of a coach. I thought Urban Meyer, in regards to this particular category, would have come in a little higher. But again, he's only coming in at number 23. Number 22, Brandon Staley of the LA Chargers. They have gone for it quite a bit. I've watched a few Charger games, actually. I have seen them go for it quite a bit. Brandon Staley, really is not that creative. I've seen more quarterback sneaks than anything else in regards to what I've seen. That's not to say that that's all he's called in regards to fourth downs. But what I've actually seen in regards to Chargers on fourth down is more quarterback sneaks using the size of Justin Herbert more than anything else. Coming in at number 21, Vic Fangio of the Denver Broncos. Yeah, they've gone for it a few times. I've watched a couple of Bronco games. I have been impressed in regards to their fourth down attempts. So I'm not surprised Vic Fangio coming in at number 21. Mike Vrabel, Tennessee Titans, coming in at number 20. It was easier to do when they had Derrick Henry in the background, right? But now that they don't have Derrick Henry and he's no longer on the field, that does make it a little tougher in regards to fourth down scenarios. If they had him, I would imagine they'd be a lot higher than number 20. But again, Mike Vrabel of the Tennessee Titans coming in at number 20. Number 19, Dan Campbell of the Detroit Lions. I'm surprised the Lions are this high. They haven't had that much success, number one. Number two, they haven't had much success in general. So obviously, if they were doing well in fourth down scenarios, I would imagine they'd be winning more games. But again, Dan Campbell, some way, somehow, coming in at number 19. And I've watched quite a few Lion games. I think they're fighting hard. They believe in their coach. I think their coach is doing a great job. I think that coaching staff is good. I think Detroit's on the upswing, like I've been talking about in podcasts before. And I think that I'm surprised again, though, that they are coming in at number 19 in regards to fourth down scenarios and going for it. Zach Taylor, Cincinnati Bengals, coming in at number 18. Another one that I am surprised about. Again, just because Cincinnati, really, they're not a fourth down team. I haven't seen them go for it too many times. I have watched quite a few Bengal games. But again, seems like everybody this year has gone for it on fourth down, though. It's not like years past. This is probably the breakout year for fourth down scenarios where teams have actually went for it. But nonetheless, with that being said, Zach Taylor, Cincinnati Bengals coming in at number 18. Number 17, we're looking at Frank Wright and the Indianapolis Colts. Yes, they go for it a lot. I've watched quite a few Colts games, watched a lot of highlights as well. I've noticed that they have been going for it a lot, have had some success in regards to it. Frank Wright, Indianapolis Colts coming in at number 17. In all honesty, I thought they'd come in a little higher now that I'm sitting here thinking about it, just because of the success that I've seen. Here's another one I'm surprised about just because the lack of success in regards to everything they've been doing offensively, and that's Sean Payton, the New Orleans Saints, who plays tonight against the Cowboys. And then, of course, you got Sean McDermott of the Buffalo Bills. They're both tied for 15th in regards to this. I don't know. Again, Sean Payton, if you're not having success, I don't know how you're this high. Again, if teams are converting on fourth down, you would imagine they'd have more points on the board. But again, some way, somehow, Sean Payton, New Orleans Saints, tied for 15 with Sean McDermott of the Buffalo Bills. Now, the Bills, again, fourth down, I have seen them play. I have watched quite a few games. They have had a good success rate. So, again, I am a little surprised that they're tied with New Orleans because I've seen success with Buffalo, not so much with New Orleans. Coming in at number 13, Brian Flores, the Miami Dolphins. They go for it a lot. They've had a lot of success, especially as of late. They've been doing very well, obviously winning a couple of games in a row. Miami, a team to look at once again. Could it just be a flurry like we saw at the end of last season? And then all of a sudden, we walked into this season thinking we were going to see some good stuff out of the Dolphins. It never really transpired. But with that being said, tied for 13, you got Brian Flores of the Miami Dolphins, along with Pete Carroll of the Seattle Seahawks. They've been in a lot of fourth down situations. I don't understand with the lack of success that I've seen with Seattle, how Pete Carroll is at number 13. I would imagine he'd be, somewhere in the 20s or below. But again, instead, he's tied for 13. Let's see what we got here in regards to number 12. Arthur Smith of the Atlanta Falcons. This one is interesting, again, because Atlanta, they're kind of a hot and cold team. They're real sporadic. They go in spurts. They're doing well. They're not doing well. Actual fourth down conversions for them is about 10.5%. I don't know why that would put them at number 12. But again, that's where they are. Number 12, Atlanta Falcons, Arthur Smith, as far as coaches in fourth down situations and the creative play calling. 11, Mike McCarthy, Dallas Cowboys. Interesting. I'm surprised. Middle of the road team. Not that they're this high. I would just expect them to be a little lower, somewhere in the teens. maybe 14, maybe 15. We're going to see them in some scenarios tonight against the Saints. That defense is definitely going to plug up the Dallas Cowboys and put them in some fourth down scenarios. So it's going to be very interesting to watch this happen tonight. But again, Mike McCarthy coming in at number 11 could give him yet another edge in tonight's game against the Saints. We're going to talk about that a little more in depth here in a little bit. Mike Zimmer, of the Minnesota Vikings coming in at number 10. Number 9 on this list, Matt Rule of the Carolina Panthers. They've been dealing with a lot of fourth downs as of late. Cam Newton just does not seem to be able to get it done. Their season's pretty much over. Fourth down's probably going to be somewhere that they're living in regards to the rest of the season, and hopefully they're able to continue, considering they're at number 9 in regards to Matt Rule being the best play caller on fourth down. Maybe that'll be something they can improve on even more, and they'll enjoy a little more success. Kevin Stefanski, Cleveland Browns, coming in at number 8 on this list. Number 7, David Coley of the Houston Texans, coming in at number 6. Nick Sirianni of the Philadelphia Eagles. As of late, a lot of fourth downs for them as well. They've had success. When you got Jalen Hurts, when you got a guy who can do run option, and you got a guy who can run as well as Jalen Hurts, I'm not surprised that they're coming in at number 6. Andy Reid, Kansas City Chiefs, same scenario, different quarterback, Patrick Mahomes. Again, no surprise there. Andy Reid coming in at number 5. Number 4, we're looking at Robert Saleh of the New York Jets. Here, I am surprised. I haven't seen a lot of success in regards to them on fourth down. But again, Robert Saleh coming in at number 4 in regards to the 4-letter networks list. John Harbaugh, Baltimore Ravens, number 3. Just look at the quarterback, Lamar Jackson. Seriously, is there anything else to say? Lamar Jackson, he is a guy who can do anything, anytime, any place, anywhere, home field, away. It doesn't matter. So when you got a guy like that, fourth down is really not a handicap when you're John Harbaugh and the Baltimore Ravens. Coming in at number 2, Matt LaFleur, Green Bay Packers. Again, same thing. Who do you got back there? You got Aaron Rodgers, arguably one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL and one of the best in history. And yes, when I say one of the best, I do put him above Tom Brady. Absolutely, without a doubt, but that's a whole different conversation. We're not going to get into that right now. Number 1 in this list, and I'm surprised, really, to be honest, Cliff Kingsbury, Arizona Cardinals. I don't see him in a lot of fourth down scenarios. When they have been in fourth down, they have had success. But again, I haven't seen him in a lot of fourth down scenarios. I don't really, in my opinion, think Cliff Kingsbury is that creative, but he is coming in at number 1 in regards to this particular list. And again, the list is how good is your NFL coach on fourth down calls, and we ranked all 32. Cliff Kingsbury, Arizona Cardinals, coming in at number 1 in regard to this particular list. All right, let's talk about the obvious. We know what it is, right? Major League Baseball. So this is how it all went down. Yesterday, at the end of yesterday's podcast, I talked about this a little bit. I told you that, look, I needed to do some research. A lot of things were happening. They were happening fast. I wasn't paying attention. I did not think that we were going to run into a scenario where Major League Baseball was going to go into any kind of a lockout. Obviously, I was wrong. I was really wrong. But again, I just wasn't paying attention. Still didn't really get to do all the research that I wanted to do, but I did pull up some stories. I did want to talk a little bit in regards to the timeline and what's been going on and where we currently are right now. And then we'll get into tonight's NFL action between the Saints and the Cowboys. But here's how it all started. So Major League Baseball Players Union, no closer to a deal with collective bargaining agreement set to expire. This was yesterday in the early morning going into the afternoon. You know, everybody was worried, but then they were like, you know what, but don't worry too much. Let's hold off. Let's wait and see what's going to happen. We do have a lot of meetings and stuff that's going to take place, so we still might see something happen. So we had until 11:59 p.m. last night in order to be able to get a deal. A deal did not happen, obviously. So then the next thing that took place was a story came out that said Major League Baseball lockout appears imminent after negotiations ended abruptly. Now, when they said negotiations ended abruptly, they mean abruptly. Okay, let me read to you a little bit of what took place. So it says a lockout of Major League Baseball players appeared imminent after talks between the league and union ended after just 7 minutes of negotiations. 7 minutes of talks. And that was all they did yesterday. And it was done. Still had 12 hours in the day to go. 7 minutes of talks. And then it was over. Now, I listened a lot in regards to what a lot of people had to say in regards to where they're away in regards to the negotiations. It's not about top pay. It's not about a salary cap or anything along those lines. I mean, salary cap kind of does come into play. There isn't one, but there kind of is generically one in place, and they're kind of not liking the way that support players are being paid because basically if you got a guy and he's been in the league for a while and he's looking for a larger contract, say, $20-30 million, whatever the case may be, and you can go get a rookie or bring somebody up from one of the farm teams and you're paying him $5-7 million, you're going to put that guy in, and that's what teams have been doing, and they're not liking it, and they're saying the new agreement basically makes it to where, unless you're a superstar in Major League Baseball, you're not going to make, superstar money. Now, here's the thing. And I'm going to read a couple more stories to you, but I just want to go and throw my opinion in regards to this whole thing. Because, again, I heard both sides, the yay and the nay, in regards to whether players should or should not, argue and get into this lockout scenario and potentially for the first time get into a scenario where we're going to be delaying spring training and possibly delay the opening day and all that stuff, right? But when we're talking about this whole deal and I'm looking at it, here's my problem with the whole deal. First of all, there's been a lot of concessions made to farm teams, right, in regards to how they're traveling, in regards to what their accommodations are for their hotels, their compensation. They've made a lot of concessions in regards to owners, to the farm teams, to the players that are in AA, AAA, and all that stuff as far as minor leagues go, right? A lot of recent concessions, and they're getting a lot better compensation. They're being taken care of a lot better. And then when I look at these middle-of-the-road guys, if you talk about a guy who's making $8 to $10 million a year, and this is just me, I'm not a baseball player, I'm not a basketball player, I'm not a professional sports player in any way, shape, or form. And I'm all for anybody making as much money as you possibly can, because that is what we all strive for, right? We all strive to make as much money as we possibly can. And there's nothing wrong with that. I don't see anything wrong with that in any way, shape, or form. My problem is, again, if you're talking about a player who's only getting $7 million a year, and you got another player trying to command $30 million a year, but you're able to get the same out of the $7 million player as you would out of the $30 million player, well, let's be realistic. Who wouldn't do that, right? Isn't that the same as going to a car dealership and, you can get the expensive $70,000 car, but instead, you got a $30,000 car that does the same job, and as a matter of fact, probably gets better gas mileage and has all the bells and whistles that the $70,000 car has. But again, better gas mileage, maybe a few other things that are better that you don't get on the $70,000 car. Maybe that $30,000 car gets you like a sunroof, but that doesn't necessarily come with the $70,000 car. Instead, that $70,000 car just comes with the fact that it has a big name, name tires. Maybe it has some rims. You're going to get stock rims on the car that has the sunroof, but the better gas mileage, but it's $30,000 against $70,000. Wouldn't you pay the $30,000 instead of the $70,000 for that car? Isn't that what you would do? I mean, folks, it's kind of common sense. It's economics. It's smart. It's what everybody would do. So I don't know that this argument really is one that needs to be had. Again, sometimes when you really want that job, you just have to take less. I mean, that's just the reality. Sometimes if you want to stay working in a certain industry, having a certain job, you just got to take that pay cut. And I'll give you another example. Michigan, University of Michigan. Let's go to college football for a quick second. Jim Harbaugh. Jim Harbaugh was making what? I think, don't quote me, but I believe it was $9 million a year, right? Isn't that what he was getting paid? And then last year, after not having the success of beating Ohio State, not getting into the college playoff, not beating Michigan State, I believe it was. They didn't beat also last year. So in the minds of Michigan fans and all the critics, they looked at that as a failure of a year, even though it was yet another 10-win year for Michigan. And what happened in the offseason? Jim Harbaugh went from $9 million to, you know what, I'm going to negotiate that down. I'll take $7 million. So Jim Harbaugh recognizes the common sense of making that kind of move. So why can't Major League Baseball players do the same thing? And again, that's just me. And I'm sure there's a lot more to this story than what I'm telling you, because I haven't heard everything. I haven't read everything, but I'm just basing my assessment off of what I've heard everybody talking about today. And a lot of people have talked about a lot of things in regards to Major League Baseball, but most of the things they've talked about, again, are the role players, what they're getting paid, and how instead of paying the role players what they're trying to command, they're just going and getting, again, guys out of the farm or rookies or whatever the case may be, and they're paying them less money. My answer to that, again, is so why not just, if you're the guy who has the reputation, if you're the guy who can give them the success they need as that role player, why not just take the offer that's in front of you, show them your worth, renegotiate later. That to me is the smart play. I mean, even guys that are getting max money, like a Max Scherzer, whatever the case may be, they're not just getting the max money thrown at them. They're going out there and they're performing. They're doing the job. They're showing their worth. And then they're getting the money given to them based on them showing their worth. So maybe Major League Baseball needs to look at their role players as having to do the same thing if they're going to try and require a set aside of money instead of just assuming that they should get that money automatically. That's just my view. Again, I'm sure there are other sticking points in this deal. I do not know them all. I do not presume to know them all, and I am not trying to come off as I know them all as they are right now. But from what I have heard, from what one of the major hurdles is, it is all about role players, what they're getting paid, using rookies, paying less. But again, if the teams are able to do that and get the same results, doesn't that tell you something? I mean, if you're a role player and they're able to get a guy for less and he gets the same results as you do, then are you really worth the money that you're trying to command? I mean, again, I'm just looking at the common sense of this deal. And maybe Major League Baseball is arguing about something that they really shouldn't be arguing about. Just my thought. Again, there's a lot more for me to learn. I'm not saying I know it all because I don't. I have to do the research. But from what I'm hearing, from what I'm knowing, at least on that major sticking point, that's my thought. Let's read a little bit into one of the stories that came out right now. It says MLBPA failed to reach new labor agreement. League is in the first lockout, by the way, since 1990. Let's read a little bit here. It says Major League Baseball locked out its players early Thursday morning, certifying the game's first work stoppage in more than a quarter century after months of talks yielded little progress toward a new labor contract. The long-anticipated lockout, which the league told the players, by the way, they were talking about this last summer, by the way, that this might happen. I remember that much. I remember last year they were saying we might go into a lockout because they were no closer to working out a deal than they were the previous summer. They've been at this for a while. They've been going at it for a minute. They knew this was a possibility, so they've been going at this for a minute. All right, so with that being said, let me go on. The long-anticipated lockout, which the league told the players' union it would initiate once the previous collective bargaining agreement expired after 11:59 on Wednesday, ends the transaction frenzy that led up to its imposition and sends the industry into a dark period with a scant light in sight. Now, I am going to talk about some of the transactions that have recently taken place. By the way, we're going to go into that next. But before we do that, I just want to read a little bit more of this story. It says MLB Commissioner Rob Manfred expressed disappointment in the lockout, but said he believes it is the best mechanism to protect the 2022 season. Despite the league's best efforts to make a deal with the Players Association, we were unable to extend our 26-year-long history of labor peace and come to an agreement with the MLBPA before the current CBA expired. Manfred wrote in a prepared statement, therefore, we have forced to commence a lockout of Major League Baseball effective at 12:01 a.m. Eastern Time on December 2nd. All right, now I'm going to read a little bit more and then we'll get into some of the transactions. During a lockout, which is a labor relations tool used by management to keep employees from working until a deal is agreed upon, team officials and players cannot communicate in any way. We all know that's going to happen, though. Let's be honest. That happens all the time, but we'll just keep going. Major League free agency and trades of players on the 40-man rosters end immediately. The Major League portion of baseball's winter meetings have been canceled, though they will continue on the minor league side. In 3 days of bargaining this week, the union and league exchanged proposals that, like previous ones, left the other side nonplussed and illustrated the chasm between the parties. The final discussions between the leaders from both sides Wednesday afternoon lasted 7 minutes, which is what we talked about just a little bit ago. So again, this story really not going into the crux of what it is. So I can only tell you based on what I've heard so far, the big sticking point right now, and again, I'm sure there are more, is the fact that role players are not getting what players or the Players Association deems their worth. All right. So let's talk about some of the free agency moves that were made prior to the deadline. The free agency is on hold until the league and the union agree on a new CBA, but the 2021-22 MLB hot stove got off to a scorching start with teams making some major moves in an effort to win a title next season. One of the moves that was made was Marcus Stroman announced he's signing with the Chicago Cubs. Stroman reached the deal with the Cubs. The right-hander announced Wednesday on social media. Sources told ESPN that the deal is for 3 years, $71 million. Dodgers bringing back Chris Taylor. Chris Taylor and the LA Dodgers agreed on a 4-year, $60 million deal. Mark Melancon signed with the Diamondbacks, right-hand pitcher. He signed with the Diamondbacks. His agreement is a 2-year, $14 million deal. The Twins, they begin rotation rebuild with Dylan Bundy. The Minnesota Twins signed a right-hander to a $5 million 1-year contract. I don't understand why they do 1-year contracts, to be honest. I really never understood that. If you like a guy, if you believe in a guy, why not at least give him 2 or 3 years? Unless they're like coming off of a Tommy John or something like that. I've never understood why they only do 1-year deals. Rich Hill joined the Red Sox on a 1-year deal. Nick Martinez signed a 4-year deal with the Padres. Corey Neville signed with the Philadelphia Phillies. The Red Sox traded right fielder Hunter Renfroe to the Brewers, and they got back Jackie Bradley Jr. There's been a lot of moves going on. Tigers landed Javier Baez. So a lot's happened, right? In regards to the trades, the signings, and everything that's been going on, this offseason's been pretty hot. There have been a lot of moves. There's still a lot of moves to go. There's still a lot of free agents that are out there, a lot of moves yet to be made. But a lot of things have happened in regards to baseball. It's just amazing. Some of these, not so much really big deals, though. In all honesty, I haven't seen that many big name moves as of yet. Most of these are roster moves to shore up defense, shore up some hitting in the middle of the lineups. Some of them are to shore up the defense on the infield, especially. But I haven't really seen that many big deals, but I'm sure those are yet to come, and they probably would have been coming in the next couple of days because I have heard some rumors about some stuff. But obviously, that all got sidetracked because of where we are right now in regards to the negotiations with the Major League Baseball Players Association. So hopefully this doesn't last too long. I really don't want it to go into, because I'm in the 602 Phoenix, Arizona, I really don't want it to go into, spring training, because spring training is a lot of fun out here. A lot of people come out here and enjoy spring training. A lot of the players are already here working with the trainers, getting ready for spring training, as a matter of fact. I've run into quite a few already, as I normally do about this time of the year. So I'm just not really excited about a possibility of spring training being delayed or being cut down in regards to the amount of games. Because, again, it's a great time. It's a great way for Arizona to make a lot of money. And it's a great way for us to get a look at a lot of players that we might not necessarily get to see again, because not everyone who's in spring training gets called up to the big leagues, right? Obviously. All right, now the final topic of tonight that I want to go over is the big game between the Cowboys and the Saints. I don't know if it's really a big game. Depends on if you're a Cowboy fan or not, I guess. But the big thing is Cowboys, if they lose tonight, they're in a lot of trouble. Look, they're in a lot of trouble anyways, but they got saved a little bit by Philadelphia messing up, taking the loss to the New York Giants. That should have never happened. Again, I blame that on the coaches. That's not a Jalen Hurts thing. It wasn't him in the execution of the pass game. They were pass heavy. They relied too much on it. They became one-dimensional. And when you do that, it makes it easy for defenses to defend against you. That's what happened, because let's face it, they were playing the lowly Giants. I don't know if the coaching staff of the Eagles became overconfident because they were playing against the Giants. I don't know if that had anything to do with it, but it obviously had to have something to do with it, because, again, you got away with what was working, which was the run game. The run game has been working huge for the Philadelphia Eagles. And all of a sudden, you walk away from it, you stop using it, you go to the pass game, you put the game on Jalen Hurts' shoulders, you have wide receivers with dropped passes, tipped passes, interceptions because of tipped balls. And the tipped balls are going off the shoulder pads of your own wide receivers. So I don't put this on Jalen Hurts. Again, I put it solely on the coaching staff. But with that being said, with the mistake of Philadelphia, that means that the division is still winnable for the Cowboys. However, Washington's still standing strong, playing well. So the Cowboys have to win out. And they got a lot of division games left, which could be their demise again. Because division games are tough, and I don't care what division you're in. You could be arguably in the worst division in football, which is the NFC East. But those teams are still going to play you well. Giants, Philadelphia, Washington, doesn't matter. Division games are division games. They're the toughest to win. Doesn't matter if you have the weakest division in the NFL. Tonight's game also could mean a lot for New Orleans. There's a lot of talk. I don't know if it's more dreaming than anything else. I mean, I've been thinking this for a while because it looks like Sean Payton's getting bored of being in New Orleans. He's not in a winning scenario. It doesn't look like they're really putting together a winning team. Doesn't really look like they're very organized like they have been in years past. Maybe it was Drew Brees that was just making an organization that was kind of just fluttering through look better than they were because Drew Brees was able to bring the best out of the players that he played with. Maybe that's what was happening. Don't know, but there's a lot of talk about Sean Payton possibly being the next Dallas Cowboy coach. Again, could be a pipe dream, could be a lot of hype, could be a lot of talk. There's also a lot of talk about him being the next coach of the New York Giants. There's a lot of talk about Payton leaving in general. Tonight, losing to the Cowboys could go a long way in furthering those rumors, and eventually where there's fire, there turns out to be what used to be a small fire, it becomes a forest fire. And you never know. It could be real, and we just don't know it yet. I've been thinking this for a while just because of what I'm seeing body language-wise on the sidelines. Now, though, the national media guys are starting to talk about it a lot. Maybe there is something there. I don't know, but again, could be a fire that's a small fire, but it turns into a forest fire if they lose tonight to the Cowboys. I don't know. You got a lot of problems with the Cowboys, though. That defense for the Saints is still pretty good. They're going up against arguably what's a very weak offense in the Dallas Cowboys. You got no running game. Ezekiel Elliott is just bad. Dak Prescott, I've been saying this forever. I know people rail against me when I say it, but he's not a premier quarterback in the NFL. He's a middle-of-the-road quarterback. He's no different than Tony Romo. All you did was go from Tony Romo to Tony Romo Jr. That's all you did. But the bottom line is the Cowboys are basically inept in regards to being able to produce on the offensive side of the ball. That defense isn't very good. I understand they got a couple of defenders that are coming back. I don't think that's going to make that much of a difference. However, the Cowboys should win tonight's game. If you're betting in Vegas, I would say put your money on the Cowboys. I believe the Cowboys should win. If they don't, they're in more trouble than even I think. But again, whether they win or whether they lose tonight, that division's still up for grabs, irregardless of what the national media guys tell you. I do not think it's a lock that the Cowboys are going to win the NFC East. They still got to battle a lot of division games. Even though Philadelphia put themselves in a hole, they're still not out of it because Dallas is digging a hole for themselves as well. And Philadelphia gets a chance to play Dallas one more time, I believe. Matter of fact, that's going to be the last game of the season. So there's a lot of there in regards to this division. It's still up for grabs. Again, and if Dallas loses tonight, it is going to be bad. If they win, it doesn't necessarily mean anything either in regards to securing the NFC East, but at least it goes a long way in regards to quieting some people down for a little bit. But it will open up the door for all the talk in regards to Sean Payton and his leaving the Saints. But I believe the Cowboys will win tonight. I do think it's going to be a close game. I don't think they're going to win by more than 5 points. I believe it's going to be somewhere between 2 and 5 points in regards to tonight's win. But they should at least win tonight's game. Again, if they don't, they're in a lot of trouble. They're in a lot of trouble if they don't. Of course, they're going to use the excuse of all the people that are not there coaching-wise for the Cowboys because of COVID. But I don't think that that's really going to be a viable excuse because, again, you're going against the Saints. There's no other way to say it. You're going against the Saints. That's the equivalent of going against Jacksonville because that's the way the Saints are playing right now. So you should win. You should win by at least 2 to 5 points. If they don't, Cowboys are in a lot of trouble. So enjoy tonight's football action. We'll talk more about the lockout. We'll talk about the results of tonight's Thursday night football game tomorrow. You guys have a great evening.